It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? I kind of like the high five, but if you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. At ChumbaCasino.com, choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18 plus.
The views and opinions expressed in this podcast by the host and or the guest do not necessarily reflect the views of the host and or Paranormal Buzz Radio and or its sponsors. Use of any material produced by Paranormal Buzz Radio without express written consent is prohibited. Paranormal Buzz Radio will not be held responsible for you holding your knees, crying, and rocking in a corner in a puddle of your own urine, or being beheaded by a group of children in the cornfield. In fact, if you come across a group of children in a cornfield, we promise to make fun of you as you run away screaming in terror. Listener discretion is advised.
You're listening to RAP Paranormal and Friends with your hosts,
Kim Purvis
and Alison Robinson. Make sure to check us out on our Facebook pages, RAP Paranormal and Friends and RAP Paranormal Busters, for up-to-date show information and events.
Hey everyone, welcome to another night of RAP Paranormal and Friends. We have a special guest with us tonight. Before I introduce her, I want to give a little insight of some information that I was given to kind of help our listeners understand what we are going to be talking about tonight. It's a little bit of a different topic and situation for us, so I'm really excited about this, but I'm going to give a little bit of background before I introduce her to you guys. So in 2015, Maryann Weston, wife and mother, was diagnosed with cancer. Of course, she was afraid, didn't want to die, didn't want to leave her family. She had so many questions and reasons to fight, flooded her mind, and confronted by death, she felt inadequate, small. If only she had known then her supremely and divinely spirit would soon walk beside her on cancer's battlefield. Her fear and doubt suddenly began to lift when she started reconnecting with her childhood clairvoyance and studying mediumship and astrology, drawing from her strong calling to discuss her healing and the psychic abilities she had suppressed since childhood. She does have a book out called Revealing Light, How Cancer Illuminated My Divine Blueprint. So please welcome Maryann to the show. Welcome to our show.
Hello, Alison. Thank you for having me on. I was actually really looking forward to this show because part of what I do because I like doing it so much is I go out and I do paranormal visits to very historic places in Australia where I live. And so I'm very familiar with the paranormal world. The reason that I like to do that is because I can use my clairvoyance and mediumship abilities to connect with those that have passed over in those locations. Usually the locations I go to are very historic. Some have had violence attached to them. And it's very interesting to see, almost like I can pick up that residual energy as well and start to see a landscape as it may have been back in the 1800s, for example.
Right.
When I do go out and do paranormal research, phenomena always occurs of some sort, whether that's orbs, flooding the room and lots of them, through to flickering lights, through to obviously the taps and the knocks and the creaks and the groans in response to questions. But the most powerful thing for me is my clairvoyance gives me a story that unfolds. And I've been I always look for validation whenever I use those abilities in a paranormal location. I always go back afterwards and check and find these people or check for validating details.
Right.
And it's really quite interesting. That's the buzz that I get, that I get to say, okay, well, I was connecting with the owner of the Seahorse Inn back in 18 whatever. I did see the whalers out in the bay. I did see the one that drowned and made contact with me. So, it is apart from the work that I do on my channel, Revealing Light, Tarot, Astrology and Spirituality, I do some paranormal research. So I was looking forward to coming on.
Yes, I like it. We do a broad range of different topics on this show. And so when yours came across to me, I know.
Hey, it's Ryan Seacrest. Life comes at you fast, which is why it's important to find some time to relax. A little you time. Enter Chumba Casino. With no download required, you can jump on anytime, anywhere for the chance to redeem some serious prizes. So treat yourself with Chumba Casino and play over 100 online casino-style games, all for free. Go to ChumbaCasino.com to collect your free welcome bonus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
I've had, different things with near-death experiences or something traumatic happening into somebody's life to where it, turned them to where they had abilities. But I've never had anybody on the show with your experience. Now, I know that you said that, you had this as a child. Did you kind of suppress it and then it just all of a sudden it kind of clicked with you during this journey that you were on?
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. It's an interesting question that you ask because we think about, because I was so fearful of what I was seeing and experiencing as a child, we can use the word suppress it, but it never ever went fully away. And so right throughout my life. So my earliest clairvoyant memory was around 3 years of age. And I could see that my mother was in trouble. She was at that time in trouble, although I couldn't have known that because this was an adult's world.
Right.
But I used to also see spirit in my bedroom, and that freaked the living daylights out of me because I was young.
Right.
And I was raised by a Catholic family, so I didn't have anyone to mentor. It's not as if I had a psychic grandmother that I could go and connect with.
Right.
My mother certainly had psychic abilities. She was extremely spot on and a formidable person as well as a result of her ability to, connect with the future, her perception and her intuition. But yeah, the earliest memories are the clairvoyance, the pictures in my head were always there from childhood, but I was extremely scared of them. I became very scared of the dark because I could sense spirit around me.
Right.
Nobody told me who or what that was. And by the time I got to school, it was an opportunity for me, or one of those intersections in your life that comes along. Well, it happened to me when I was about 9 or 10. I was in a classroom with a relief teacher from the UK, Miss Ralph, and she asked us to write a little story, a little one-page story.
Right.
For whatever reason I did, I wrote this story about how I felt when the pictures in my head started.
Oh,
and
wow.
I said, I'd go somewhere else. And then I described how the pictures unfold. Well, she called me up after the class and said, is this how you feel? Tell me, is this true, what you've said here?
Yeah.
And I said, yes, and I explained it to her. Well, from that moment onwards, she encouraged me, but they termed it as a vivid imagination. And so whenever my school reports came home, they said Maryann has a very vivid imagination and needs to become a writer. So I did become a writer, but that was the orthodox, the orthodox explanation for what was going on. It was just pure clairvoyance that was occurring. It's a shame that we didn't have more, fast-seeing type of schools or educations back in the day when I went to school, because someone might have picked up the intuition, the clairvoyance, and maybe they could have explained to me why the things happened in the way that they did. So I became a writer in my adult life, but I was always drawn to the paranormal, energy, working with energy. So I studied it. I developed this mainstream career, but on the side, I was studying everything I could learn about energy, shamanism, even psychic stuff, but I never connected the dots. This was sort of like as an observer I was studying. It wasn't until I was diagnosed with cancer that I was forced to, through being told, well, if we don't do this radical treatment, you'll die. So it was about confronting death. And I can remember I was still in that observer kind of status. I wasn't throughout my life, yes, there was times I was very good at what I did because I could I could hit the nail on the head. So I became a journalist and an editor, and I kept getting these really good breaking front page stories.
Right, yes.
Because I knew where I should go to investigate.
Yeah.
And whatever career I was in, I knew where to go because I knew what was coming.
Right.
So, it worked well for me in my Orthodox career, but, I just didn't, I didn't follow it down in the same way that I'm doing now. But, yeah, so when I got diagnosed, I was just so fearful of dying. So I can remember when they told me, it's like the world just drops. It's like the floor slips out from underneath you and you're falling in a psychological sense. And it's a shock. It's a shock to the system. And I can remember just waking up that first night after diagnosis and shaking, like in what was I?
Hello, it is Ryan, and I was on a flight the other day playing one of my favorite social spin slot games on ChumbaCasino.com. I looked over at the person sitting next to me, and you know what they were doing? They were also playing Chumba Casino. Coincidence? I think not. Everybody's loving having fun with it. Chumba Casino is home to hundreds of casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere, even at 30,000 feet. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com to claim your free welcome bonus. That's ChumbaCasino.com and live the Chumba life.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Going to do. I was like that for, in those first few weeks. And after that initial shock, it gave way to feel, depression and anxiety. And we've all at one time or another been to that place. I liken it to being down the well, head down in the darkness, not knowing where the light was.
Right.
At that point, something reached out to me from the spirit world. Something caught my attention. And whether it was the clairaudient experiences I was having. I was getting my father waking me up in the middle of the night, calling my name. Whether a murder of crows followed me everywhere, to the point it was just beyond reason and beyond, it was just, and they kept cawing all the time. I even said to my meditation group, I just don't know why this is happening. And they said, well, maybe it's trying to tell you something. So, and I said, well, I don't speak crow, So nowadays I go into clairvoyance, and I actually do send out messages I'm surrounded by birds everywhere I go. I have phenomena happening with birds all the time. And, so a lot has changed since 2015. Eventually I was in that well, and I felt spirit reach out to me in so many ways. It's like they're banging on the door, when are you going to listen? And I suddenly looked up, and what I saw, metaphorically speaking, was the hidden realm reaching out to me and offering me a belief that I would be okay, that this wasn't an experience that I had to go through for my own soul's evolution. And so during active treatment, I went madly into visualization and meditation as a healing modality. I devoured everything I could from cancer survivors and the techniques they used, and I practiced them. I went and studied Reiki 1 and Reiki 2 and did Reiki on myself. By the time I got through radiation and chemotherapy, before even the surgery occurred, was 7.5 weeks, 3-hour round trip driving to the radiation centre, the cancer centre in Sydney. And by the time I got to just before the surgery, they tested to see what had happened to the tumour. They couldn't find it. They could only find microscopic cells, a few microscopic cells. The tumour had completely withdrawn and retracted. I obviously had to have surgery anyway, because and that was very hard surgery. But all during that process, I was experiencing phenomena most days, particularly in the natural world, and I was also studying very hard with a medium and with a shaman, and starting to learn astrology, and so all of that was coming together. When I studied with the medium here in Australia, she said to me, "You're one of the most gifted clairvoyants I've ever come across," and that's my main ability. And with clairvoyance, obviously, comes that mediumship ability to connect with passed over loved ones, and passed over spirits as well. But I do actually see spirit. That's become stronger as the years have worn by. The more I use, it's like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
Now, do you think, you diving into this mediumship, studying astrology and things, do you think this helped you get through your treatments?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It gave me direction and skills that I would otherwise not have had. And I'll give you an example. On the drive to Sydney, 3-hour round trip drive to Sydney for the radiation machine, toward the end I was really struggling, and it was painful, and I had no energy, and I was driving along in the car, and I heard clairvoyantly the word stasis. Now, I didn't kind of know what stasis was, so I went and looked it up. I had an idea, but I went and looked it up, and I interpret that as sleep, go within, sleep, rest. And so for the last week and a half of the treatment, I slept in that car. I slept at home. I slept at night. I slept. And it was like I went into a cocoon. And that really helped me get through the end of treatment, because at one point they were thinking that the side effects were so great they might have to stop the treatment. But I made the treatment till the end, and I think that was a direct result of that clairaudient voice that told me that I needed to sleep. And that's what I did. So the meditation and the visualization, I think that was so powerful, because I am I have that clairvoyant ability, and I think that is part of the good result in my healing. But more so psychologically, I think also that connecting so strongly with the spirit world, again, white feathers were everywhere for me. And I was telling my skeptic husband on the drive down, and he said, cockatoos are everywhere. Of course, you're seeing white feathers. As soon as he finished the word feathers, a feather came out of the sky on the Hume Highway. We were going 110 kilometres an hour, and hit the driver's side windscreen.
Oh my!
And I just looked at him, and he looked at me, and I never heard another skeptical word coming out of his mouth. After treatment, I try and ride my e-bike 10Ks a day. It's important to be physically strong and take care of myself. And I was riding down the river path, and I stopped to adjust my helmet, and it was like the sun was kind of blanked out. It was like there was a shadow across the sun, and I thought, this is weird. There's a really sunny day, and I looked up. There was a white cockatoo, full wingspan, in front of the sun, just hovering there, wings spread above me.
Wow.
And you just never see that. That's something. I was raised on a farm, been an outdoor girl all my life. You'd never see a cockatoo still full wingspan like that. And I thought, holy hell. So, yeah, it's just life has become, even though I've lost physical, obviously surgery, radical surgery leaves its imprint, you never get over radiation and chemo. It's there, the effects are there for life. But I've gained so much more by being so close to that realm. Well, a number of realms, whether it's the spiritual realm, whether it's the nature realm, life is very rich for me. I'm not saying that it's always easy, particularly with the spiritual realm. There's more than just. One of the things that people will notice if they come and visit my channel is I get a lot of orbs, and I actually get winged orbs, which is very interesting. I put one of my producer friends cut down the video and slow-moed it, and that's on my website at www.revealinglighttarot.com. If anyone wants to check that out, the winged orb is there for everybody to see. Okay. So phenomena is happening all the time, around me. And, when the work that I do is, sometimes it's tough and it's depleting. But one of the things that my viewers get out of the work that I do is they get to see phenomena, and in a way that is targeted, designed to emphasize whatever I'm saying, and it helps them believe. Well, not believe, but it gives them hope that there's more than just the 3D dimension that we live in. There's more than what we can actually see and hear in this world. There is so much more than that, and that comforts them.
That's amazing. Now, do you think that everybody has some kind of ability, but maybe they just don't tap into it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'll give you an example. You might walk into the room, a party or something like that, and you might feel that old saying, eyes upon you, and you'll look over and you'll see someone staring your way. That's a meeting of the minds. That's not That's not, oh, suddenly someone decided to look my way. You are aware of that person is aware of you. So there's a subliminal communication going on between you. Really strong connections with friends and family. You'll wake up with a feeling that, oh gosh, I'm a bit worried about Jen today, and so you'll ring Jen and you'll say, oh look, is everything okay? And they'll go, well, no, it's not. So, that's just an example of the abilities, particularly also in the dream state, the prophetic dreams, knowing someone's going to call when they call. Yes, we all have those abilities.
Right.
But mostly yours might be dialed to 3 or 5, but if you're practicing them every day, you've had that, always been sensitive as a kid. You've been an empath. You sometimes, maybe you have experiences with spirit. Everyone's dial can go up or down. If someone like me with clairvoyance came into the world with a very high dial of it, the dial was turned up a fair way. But I miss things too, when I don't listen. My dad and those blessed crows were trying to warn me a year before I was diagnosed that something was wrong, and I was too busy in the mainstream world to listen.
Yeah.
So you have to be open to it. And I think that's the change that I see in society now with the work that I do. More and more people are becoming open to spirit or spirituality.
Right.
And I believe that's a shift that's occurring now. And often the biggest shifts occur in adversity. So we look around the world and we've got some chaos happening, or in our own private lives, or, things might be unstable. You get a shocking news, you lose a loved one, whatever the situation is.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino-style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
That's when spirit will be trying to reach you the hardest. And I think if we can just open up to the possibility that spirit is there, generally our loved ones, our passed over loved ones are with us. They're trying to do whatever they can for us. I've often woken up in the morning and seen people move out of my view. They were standing by my bed.
Yeah.
I would have gotten very frightened by that before. Now I don't. Now I don't. I go, okay, I'm going through this hard time. They're trying to lend me their strength. And, and I've certainly had warnings from my mum. My mum's around me a lot. She touches my head during videos that I do. And I've certainly had warnings from her about my own children. Oh, wow. And in particular, she said, watch out for Jack. That's my middle child. At the time, he had a relationship breakup and he was down in the depths of despair. And I didn't realise how far down the hole he was. But from her warning, I did. And we were able to reach out and help him. So, I also think too that when you live spiritually, you fear blocks a lot of the flow in life, but that's abundance or, whatever, that flow of life. If you're in the flow, you're really being able to move in a direction that maybe was intended for you, but if you weren't open to spirit, you might have taken fear might have gotten in the way. Something else might have gotten in the way, and you didn't follow the path or the flow of, if I can just say, abundance, or the flow of prosperity or wellness or whatever. If you had been listening, you would have been in the flow. So I think fear is probably the biggest block, and the dense emotions like depression and anxiety can really get in the way of people connecting with spirit. But I think that's a roundabout way of saying, yes, we can all connect with spirit. It's how open we are, and if we are open, how much we use it will determine whether the dial goes up to 8, 9, 10, or at 3 or 5.
Yes. How do you use your abilities to help others? Do you do that?
Yeah, well, I have a background as an investigative journalist. Remember the nun in the Catholic school told me to become a writer, and I did. And I went into to journalism and editing regional media where I live, and later on, I was fairly driven in the Orthodox career. I did a research degree, a social welfare degree. So I was always inclined to be of service to people, to help people. I bring all that to predictive work now. So what I do is I look at global events, and it's not the only thing I do, but part of what I do is I go right out on that limb, and I say, okay, well, this is likely to happen in, timing is hard, but my annual predictions, for example, for 2025, most of them have already come true. So some of them are pretty heavy for me to wear. So I saw the 2 days before the South Korean plane crash that unfortunately 100 and something odd perished. I saw a plane, as well as I was doing my annual predictions, I saw a plane on the ground. There was an accident, a plane crash accident, but I said, here's the thing, it's on the runway, it's not in the sky, so I don't know what's happening. And I said, there will be other plane crashes. We're going through a period where there's planes coming into, whether it's a maintenance question or whatever it is, we're going to go through that period. Well, 2 days later, unfortunately, we had the accident in South Korea, and I remember one of the viewers said, well, what's the good of what you do if you can't save these people? And I said, well, I've put the prediction out there. I didn't cause it. It's not something. It's a tragedy that I wish I didn't see. And maybe we can put pressure on whatever country we're in, on our politicians or our regulative authorities or whatever, to do more. That's how change occurs. If we've got some cracks in plane travel, then somebody needs to do something about that. So it also, again, is part of this validation that allows people to go, well, okay, I might need to use my intuition a bit more. If she's picking up that, then maybe I should listen to, history's full of people who got off planes before they took off. So the work that I do is predictive, whether it be an avalanche and I see a pin on a map in California, that was foreign to me. California I thought was dry, but the avalanche happened 10 days later at the ski field, and that occurred in California. So, predictions have to be they can't be general, they have to be fairly specific. I try and validate what I do, and so I'll often go back and look at what sort of, what I got correct and what I didn't, and then do a self-check on myself. If I haven't got something correct, why did that happen? And it's usually because the information I was given was correct. It was me that was misinterpreting it or holding back because I didn't want to upset someone or whatever the case may be. So that's what I do. I go out on the limb and I make predictions about the future, but that's not the only work I do. I do channeling as well, and it's mediumship work. I've brought in a number of people from past over, famous type people, although I don't say, I don't wake up and say, today I'm going to channel, I don't know, a celebrity that passed yesterday. I don't do that. I wait for them to come to me. Right now, there's a man who wears his spectacles on the bottom of his nose. He's a middle-aged man. He's obviously someone that is wants to get something through to me, and I have to now go looking for pictures of that person to see who that is.
Right?
So I wait for them to come to me. I don't just say, oh, yeah, I can channel Marilyn Monroe or whatever. I'm going to do that. I mean, I channeled Nostradamus, and the way that came out, I was walking on the golf course with my dog. There's a beautiful, garden of red roses. And I picked the petal up of the red rose, and I was squeezing it between my fingers, and there was a lot of juice running out from the red petal. And I thought, oh, okay, what's that all about? Again, being clicked into somebody's trying to tell me something. I better follow this down. Let's investigate this. And I came upon Nostradamus using rose petals to extract the juice and get rose hip, which is high in vitamin C during the plague. So he then came forward, bespectacled, because I wasn't sure whether they wore spectacles or not in the 15th century, but yes, he did. That was another fact later on. And I got, images of Jesus on the cross and burning flames and goodness knows what. And I said, God, was he religious? It seems there's a problem here with religion. Well, part of the reason that Nostradamus, for example, the great prophet, became a prophet was because his family were very religious and he rejected the church. And his work during the plague, he was actually a physician. He started off as a physician. He saved many, many people by this vitamin C, high in rose petal, rose hip concoction that he was giving to people who were suffering from the Black Plague, and some of them recovered as a result of high doses of vitamin C. So that was a year in front of COVID. And so I was talking about plagues, illnesses coming in front of what happened with COVID. And so that's sort of an example of how Spirit is working with me, that doesn't just use my clairvoyant abilities, but actually does use my investigation techniques, my, research techniques as well. So, so I channel as well. I use my mediumship as well. I also do, I don't know what you would call it, sort of healing session. I call them my spirit file sessions, where I'll just do a straight channeling of messages, and people, it's there. I don't know how they work with my viewers, but lights go on when I'm doing it, and they tell me that when I say not actual lights go on,
but things
go on in their head,
right,
and that helps them with whatever the problem is that they're confronting. But it's not me doing it; it's them doing it through their own intuition, and that's the really empowering part of the work that I do. Yeah.
Very cool. Now, did I read something about also like you're like dabble, or you have researched Wicca?
Yeah, I have. Yeah, I have started with Wicca. I'm more drawn to shamanism because it brings in the natural world, but I suppose Wicca does as well. I've Scottish and Irish ancestry, so God knows what's in the background there. I'm actually working on something at the moment to for the future, a future book, and there will be some intentions, some meditations, some. I wouldn't say. I wouldn't say they're spells. They're not spells, but some full moon incantations or mantras or things like that. It's a collection of things anyway. Part grimoire, part essays, and the thing is that it's designed to open the page on any particular day and get the message that is relevant for you. And that could be a full moon incantation that you can do in the light of the moon. It just depends. So I am there's only so many hours in the day that I find, but yeah, I'm certainly if you wanted to put it in Wicca, as I said, I'm more
How to have fun anytime, anywhere. Step 1, go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2, collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3, play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games, all for free?
Step 4, unleash your excitement.
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Shaman than Wicca, but if you wanted to put it in Wicca, it would certainly be like a green witch type energy.
Yeah. I mean, I know back in the day, Wicca, everybody thought it was bad. They just automatically thought, people are witches doing harm to people, but that's really not the case with it.
No, it comes from the light, not the darkness.
Right.
Although shadow stuff, when we work with our shadows, that's actually that's amplifying the light as well. So rather than light and darkness, shadow stuff can be really powerful as well. Sometimes, like I will get energies coming through that decades ago would have scared the living daylights out of me.
Right.
But I had a poltergeist in my attic.
Oh my gosh.
And that was pretty scary, but it was only just forming. It hadn't built up, and I was waking up at night and hearing the attic, a door opening and moving, and our particular attic door, it makes a particular sound, and I thought, who's going up to the attic at midnight? Like, what's going on?
Right.
So I'd go up. Who was anyone up in the attic? No, they weren't. And then I think the energy had built up in this room. This is where I work, and I think there was a build-up of energy. But anyway, I went to sleep and I had this dream. I went into paralysis, and there were black hands coming from the ceiling. This room is below the attic, and they were round my neck and choking me, but I couldn't get free of it. Normally in a dream you will, and I was forced into a situation of survival where I then shot white light out of my hands, and that the hands just withered and receded, and I woke up and was struggling for breath. So that was the dream I had. The next day I knew very urgently I had to do a Reiki clearing of the house, in particular this bedroom, and I never had any more problems. But I think without those sort of skills, what probably could have gone on would have been, a build-up of that poltergeist type energy. You often will hear energies are attracted to the light, whether they be good or bad. And I think I'd been working in the light, and somehow, I don't know, maybe something passing had come my way. But I feel for people who are sensitive but don't have the skills or the confidence. I'm going to say the confidence, because it's not the strength, but the confidence to get rid of these energies that are maybe not so well intentioned. Yeah. So that was a long way round of answering your question regarding Wicca. But it's a lot of learning over the years, a lot of experimenting. Some of it works, some of it doesn't, and a building up of confidence that if I'm going to be using this energy, if you want to call it that, then I better know how to protect myself. And every time I work, I do protection before I start. So, that's important.
It is important. I should probably ground myself in things more before I go into certain locations. Kim's like, I am fairly sensitive to those things as well. So,
well, my health was on a downward spiral at the time, and I think that was also one of the reasons that I had this thing in the attic. I was very unwell as a legacy of the cancer treatment, and I was working really hard. Silly me, I was working really hard, burning the candle at both ends, and I became weakened and vulnerable. So there again are the lessons that we learn, but we forget, and then we get complacent, and then this happens. But I was certainly thankful for studying Reiki 1 and 2, because I knew how to deal and banish those type of unwanted energies. And the whole room took on a different feel after I did that. I scaled back on my work. I took it seriously. Everything was much lighter and brighter, and my health did start to improve. So, whether people say, okay, well, you're in the paranormal world or whatever, you're living spiritually, you're in the other realm, you've got one foot in the realm. What about me? I just go to work every day and whatever. However, the same energies are still there. You might be going into a toxic workplace. You might be giving too much of your energy to things that aren't feeding you back. There could be a real there could be a real mean-ass person in that workplace who is actually jealous or competitive or whatever, and is throwing you energetic daggers. So everyone can benefit from understanding how energy works, the two-way flow, how to stay in beneficial energies, life-affirming energies, but also how to protect yourself from energies that aren't so well-intentioned, no matter if you're living in the spiritual realm like me or whether you're just going to work every day. It's all the same.
Before we start wrapping things up, I know you talked about you have like a channel and things that you do. Where can people, if they want more information or anything, where can they find you, or if they want help with something, or I don't do personal readings. I'm too busy doing readings for the collective now. But the good place to start, and including if you want to see the winged orb, is www.revealinglightarot.com. You can come. I've got two YouTube channels. One's the main channel, that's Revealing Light Tarot, Astrology and Spirituality. You can cherry pick from the content that you like. If you don't like current event predictions and you don't want to hear about the war in Ukraine, how that might end, or Middle East or whatever, if you don't want to see what's going on now, you can choose to maybe go and look at one of the paranormal research videos or whatever. Cherry pick your content that you want. I have a smaller channel, Random Sage, with Maryann from Revealing Light. That's a straight out podcast channel where I will interview people, and it's it's more like an intuitive type journalist type channel. They can visit that. I'm right across Facebook. Find me by Revealing Light Tarot, Astrology and Spirituality. Threads, Blue Sky, but the website is the best place to start. You can take a look at what you want and navigate from there. I do a blog post on that, trying to do that reasonably regularly, so you can subscribe to that. It's called The Note, and you can get spiritual posts, all sorts of posts on that on there. So so thank you for that. And then your book, I believe it's on Amazon and Collective Inc. Probably anywhere you can find your books, right?
Yeah. Amazon.com, you'll find it there, Revealing Light, How Cancer Illuminated My Divine Blueprint. Amazon UK, Amazon Australia, all of the Amazons. Some people who don't want to, for whatever reason, shop at Amazon, that's fine. They want to support their local people. It's on the main coastal bookshop, for example. It's on bookstore.org. It's on a lot of places. So just Google the title and then choose where you want to shop.
Shop it.
It's on Google as well. Google ebooks, Apple ebooks. It's both ebook and hard copy.
Now, did I hear you say earlier that you're working on another book?
Yeah, I'm trying to. I'm just dealing with the effects of treatment at the moment, and that's affected my hands, and so that's a big thing for me again. But there's always a lesson in that. There's always speech to text, and I'll eventually get my hands fixed up. But that's another thing. But I'm probably about halfway through. That book. I'm hoping, maybe to finish that in 6 months, have it out in 2026. Wouldn't that be good?
Yes.
I also I did a year of art classes, and I'm hand painting a tarot deck. That's going very
cool.
That's a major project, but that takes a long time to hand paint a tarot deck.
I wouldn't have the patience for it.
Look, I got all the major arcana finished, most of the wands and the aces in all the suits. That's where I'm at now, and I'm hoping to finish that too within the next year or two. But the book, I'd work well with Indian ink, which is just beautiful. You can think of Japanese calligraphy and those beautiful Japanese paintings. I want to illustrate the book as well, the new book, as well as write it. So we'll see what comes through in those illustrations. That might be symbolism. Who knows? So I've got a lot of work in front of me, and that's why I don't have personal readings anymore. But what I hope, what I put out in the collective, I hope is of benefit to people. Yeah.
Well, I was inspired by your book. I don't know, I've had a lot of family members that have had cancer, and they were very, intuitive, spiritual people. And so to see you come through using all that and come out the way you did is truly amazing. And I hope that a lot of our listeners and people that read your book are inspired by it as well, as much as I was. And so I do really appreciate you for being on and talking about your book, Revealing Light, How Cancer Illuminated by Divine Blueprint. And it was truly an awesome pleasure to talk to you about what you have conquered and what you have accomplished during your journey.
Well, thank you so much, Alison, and to the show generally for having me on. I noticed you lit up then when you were talking about your loved ones. So there will be loved ones in spirit. Everybody should know they're always around you, always around you.
Yep, 100%. They are.
Yeah.
So,
yep. So thank you. I hope are you okay?
I'm okay.
I hope I didn't trigger you, but
no, you're good.
But I just saw spirit flock to you when you were talking then. So thank you very much for having me, and all the best and good luck with the show. And I'll be keeping an eye out for it in future. Thank you so much.
Oh yes, absolutely. Thank you so much, and thank you to all of our listeners. Peace out until next time.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.